The APC9. This guy is awesome. I've used a bunch of little sub guns before, and I don't think any of them compare to
what do we have?
The machining of this. Yeah,
MP5,
we got the MP5 Vector Scorpion, the Grand Power 9. I can't remember the exact name.
AR9.
Yeah, an AR in 9mm. And this just blows them all away. It's so freaking smooth. Everything's ambidextrous. I think it's kind of an interesting place for that bolt catch. So I just use my middle finger for that one. It's kind of cool. And then we got slide release both sides. As you just saw, this thing is empty. No need to go crazy.
They're going to anyways.
All right. I have a 6-hour Romeo 4T on here. It has about 10-year battery life, or 7 to 10-year battery life, which is why I got this. Does have a little solar panel on top. One thing that I wish this did have, which it doesn't, and Hollow Suns with the solar panels do, is auto adjust brightness. This one doesn't have that, but honestly,
I don't like that feature anyways.
Yeah, honestly, I use it on one site or one setting to begin with. Some people might be wondering why I'm running a little laser on here. Well, this is my get home gun. This is my truck gun. Some people might think I'm overdoing it. They think probably like, hey man, you're compensating for something having a $4,000 truck gun. Well, that's okay.
We live in South Texas, by the way. That's what we fucking do here. Get over it. We do it because we can.
Instead of having an $80,000 car, I like to spend my money on little toys.
Absolutely.
So, I have this little TLR2G on here. Got a little pressure pad up on the top.
I mean, and it's dead bright outside right now.
Yeah.
Look at that. I mean, it's the middle of the day. Crazy.
So, yeah, this is my get home gun.
Let's talk about the trigger you got in there, man.
So yeah, the APC9 does not come with a Geisley trigger. This is a super speed precision trigger, or SSP, and it's actually when I got this, it was a warranty replacement, because I got an SSP trigger and it definitely wasn't a single stage trigger, which is what they market the SSP as, a true one stage or single stage trigger. Well, it was an old one. Geisley had a recall on the first generation of the SSP triggers, so they just kind of disappeared. They never really came out and said that they had a recall. They just kind of took them off the shelves.
Right.
So the SSP trigger that I got to begin with was curved, and they sent me the replacement, and I'm like, holy shit, is that a super dynamic SSP trigger? And they're like, yep. And I was like, has this even been released? And they're like, nope. And I was like, well, thank you, that's freaking awesome. And it looks wicked on this little guy.
Yeah, it does. It fits it really well.
This I got from HB Industries. It is a safety delete. On this one side, it still does have a little arrow, so you know what you're on. But just because with your hand right here, it is a paddle, and that would just like dig into my hands.
Just like the Vectors, it digs right into that. It gets on your nerves.
It's really uncomfortable. So I immediately got rid of that. One thing that I will say about the actual safety lever in general is when I first got it, it was really tight. Now, I mean, nice and smooth. HB Industries also sells a light spring kit for the detents in here. It lightens it up a lot. But honestly, I think that was what B&T set out to do, was make something that the tolerances were just so tight. I mean, there is absolutely no wiggle room at all in this gun. None whatsoever. And so, I mean, it's just been awesome. This is actually an upgrade as well. It does have kind of like the SCAR style charging handle. I did opt for a folding charging handle or lever. Honestly, just because I do carry this thing in a laptop case. It fits in a laptop case. I mean, look how tiny this thing is.
Yeah, speaking of which, let's talk about your brace, your pistol brace here.
Went ahead and got the Gearhead Works tail hook. I did have And
By the way, this thing is like solid metal. I did not know that.
yeah, actually, this when I bought this, it was actually the first time I had any experience with the tail hook, and I thought this thing just kind of like flipped open, but no, there's actually a little detent right there, and it stays in place.
Yeah.
So it originally came with the SB Tactical folding stock, which is a great option, but I really wanted kind of that original style, the telescopic stock. Obviously, this isn't a stock, but I don't know. It just has some nostalgia to it.
Right. Kind of like the MP5.
Exactly. So this is actually the mag that I keep in it when it is in my vehicle, just because if I have to grab this and go, I have a lot of firepower in a really small package.
Speaking of which, talk about the mag well.
That's right. I did get a jet funnel for this. So this entire piece comes off. You can see the little track right there. Just to make the mag changes on this a lot easier. And it really does. I got to be honest with you. It makes them a lot easier. One thing I'll say about the action on this thing is it feels like it's on ball bearings. It's just so smooth. It actually reminds me a lot of the action on an ACR. Out of all the rifles I've played with, the ACR probably had the smoothest action out of all of them.
Well, partially because this uses hydraulics.
Yeah, there is a hydraulic buffer spring in here that eats up a lot of that recoil. And I'll actually open it up for you. We can take a look at that.
I didn't believe you when you first told me it would use hydraulics, but...
And like I said, the tolerances are really tight on here, so sometimes it's a little difficult to get that on. Yeah, we got a little hydraulic, so...
So there's actual fluid and hydraulic pressure in there.
Yep.
That's crazy.
And this is not user serviceable. This is something that has to be... if something ever happened to this, it would have to be taken to or sent to B&T, because this is not built to come out. It's meant to stay there, eat up a lot of that recoil, and actually, let's go ahead and just take the whole thing apart. This reminds me a lot of the ACR again. And right now, I actually don't have any oil on it. It's riding on steel tracks, so honestly, you don't necessarily need oil. It helps with the smoothness. It's not going to affect the function at all. It's still going to just run like a charm.
All right, I think that's it. Let's put it together and let's go shoot it.
So right now, I'm using the laser. Let me go ahead and...
Yeah, I'll zoom in, put the laser on there. I'll see. You can see it in the middle of the day. Yeah, you can totally see it in the middle of the day. Wow.
And so if you look at me, I'm definitely not looking down the sights.
Yeah. That's cool, man.
This thing is dead on. That's another thing I got to talk about, is the accuracy on this. When I put this little red dot on, I didn't have to make a single adjustment. And it's dead accurate. I mean, tiny little groups. We don't always shoot at steel. We shoot at paper sometimes as well, just to see how everything does perform. We are on safety. It's just stupid accurate. And that's one of the reasons why I ended up choosing this over the MP5.
You love that MP5.
I know. I really did love the MP5.
You freaked me out when you told me you sold it. I was like, I don't... What?
And then you saw this.
No, you bought a Vector. Then you pissed me off when we sold it. Then you bought an MP5. And then you pissed me off again when you sold it. But I've come to fall in love with this too, because I didn't even know what it was. And what's funny, the moment you bought this, right? Like 2 months after you bought this, Grand Thumb comes out. Mike comes out with a video and starts talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's freaking great.
Well, deplete the magazine. Let's do this.
I think we got 3 rounds left. And it's quick. You know what? Let's see how fast that trigger really is. I'm probably going to miss a few shots, but
we'll just
let's
shoot
try
it in
out.
silhouettes there.
That's pretty quick.
That's not bad. I mean, I don't know why you would need it any quicker than that.
See if I can bump fire it. Oh, yeah. Nah. Not enough recoil, not with that hydraulic in there.
All right.
Got the Brugger Thomet APC9.
That's pretty good, man.
Works for me.
I like it.
Well, that was the Advanced Police Carbine, the APC9. That's actually what that stands for. As you can see in the videos, it has extremely low recoil. You know, of course it is 9mm, but of the several 9mm subguns I've used, this one has noticeably less. A couple items I failed to mention in the videos. Number one, this actually does have a little compartment storage on the bottom of the grip, just like most AR grips. Right down there. Unloaded. So, bring it up here. It's got a little area. Some people use a flathead screwdriver or a bullet or something. Honestly, you can just use your nail. I got little items in there, and works just fine. I like that. Find it extremely convenient. Also carry small Allen wrenches in there, spare batteries, oil just in case. Number two, the charging handle can be swapped out for right-handed use. So this truly is an ambidextrous gun, not ambidextrous. I actually give my friend a hard time about that word just because he's adding extra E's where they don't belong. Another thing I forgot to point out was that this does run a tri-lug adapter or a tri-lug mount on there. And honestly, that was really one of the first solutions for a quick detach or a quick attach suppressor system. So it's iconic. It's withstood the test of time. Works great for most people. I should have some tri-lug suppressors on their way here soon, so maybe we'll do some videos with those. You may have noticed in the videos that the bottom of the mags look a little strange. That is tape. It's electrical tape that I put on there. Mainly just because I didn't really like that it was a little plastic floor plate in there. I haven't really had any problems with them, but they don't seem to be that sturdy. That's one of my complaints about, well, it's not really the gun, it's just the mags. So I went ahead and I put a bunch of freaking electrical tape on there, so if these things do break and the floor plate snaps, it's not going to come shooting out. It's got nowhere to go. Also, it covers up the bunched up magazine, or the floor plate spring in there. So you don't have to look at that ugly thing. You just see your bullets. And, you know, also it kind of looks a little post-apocalyptic. I think it's kind of cool. Overall, I really do think this little subgun takes the cake when it comes to just down to performance, fit and finish, functionality, ruggedness, and accuracy. I know people are going to disagree with me about this, but that is my honest opinion. I've owned Chris Vector's CZ Scorpions, AR9s, the high power, or the Grand Power 9. I've even owned a genuine H&K MP5, Heckler and Koch, and yes, that is how they say it. You can go on their website and see. It's pronounced Coke. Yeah, let me get some Heckler and Koch. Sounds refreshing. And a Zenith MP5 clone as well. And to be quite frank with you, the fit and finish of the Zenith was better than the genuine MP5 at half the cost, which seems kind of crazy. And as iconic and as mean and wicked looking as the MP5 is, wait for it, I think the APC9 is better. It's the superior platform. Oh my God! How could you say that? You know not of what you speak. Heresy! Heresy, I say! Do away with the blasphemer! Reel it in, guys. Alright, before you start dropping those hate comments, let me tell you that I love the MP5. I really do. I made sweet love to them when I did own them, when they were in my arsenal. Oh yeah. I've wanted one since I was a little kid in the 90s, man. They were in every action movie, every SWAT scene, and we felt lucky and honored that it chose to grace us with its presence in those shooting scenes. Alas, just because something has been around for a long time and is battle-proven doesn't mean that it cannot be improved upon. If that were the case, then all of our law enforcement officers would still be rocking revolvers. But don't worry, I will explain myself. I don't ever pick a side without knowing the arguments and standpoints of each. So, without further ado, the reasons I believe the APC9 is a better platform. Well, fully ambidextrous controls. If you're used to the AR platform, running this it's going to feel like second nature and extremely familiar. Superior accuracy. This thing is extremely accurate. There's no contest when it comes to this versus an MP5. I'm not saying that the MP5 is an inaccurate weapon, but for only being a 6.9-inch barrel, it's a little tag driver for sure. Reduced recoil. Because of the hydraulic system, that takes quite a bit of the recoil impulse out of each round. I mean, let's face it, none of these guns that we're shooting have much recoil to begin with, but when you want to put a lot of rounds on target quickly, accurately, you're going to want as little muzzle flip as possible. It accepts AR platform fire control groups, triggers. All right, that's a really cool feature because there's so many badass AR triggers out there, and you can really just take your pick and install it. Now, that being said, this will accept most drop-in triggers. I tested it out with Trigger Tech. That one worked. Timney, POF drop-in triggers. I actually wanted to permanently run an AR Gold trigger in here, an AR Gold adjustable trigger, so I could try and bum fire it and have a blast at the range. But sadly,
Nice.
the way it's shaped and because it is adjustable in the rear portion of the actual trigger pack, it is not compatible with this little guy. But Geisley triggers, you know, as you saw in the video, this thing's running a Geisley SSP trigger, and I gotta say I love it. It's a great little trigger. The flared magwell, yes, it is aftermarket and it's kind of expensive. I think it's like 40 or 50 bucks, but I love it. It is an option, so there's that. And even the standard magwell is a bit easier to manipulate than the MP5, and so I like running the little jet funnel on there. It's not too robust, it's not massive, it doesn't look like it belongs on a competition gun. It definitely has its place on something that you might use for a battle scenario. The full-length rail on top, so I mean, I got my little pressure pad pushed all the way up here. One thing I did forget to talk about was this guy has little tiny flip-up sights, and you know, when they say backup sights, they truly mean backup sights. These are last-ditch effort right there. Let's hope you don't have to use them. But even with that, they're still pretty accurate. I've used it without an optic on here. It's accurate. There's no reason that they should be discarded. But got a little Picatinny rail here on the side, another one over here. So it comes standard with those. You don't have to get those aftermarket. It does come with that. Also here on the bottom, you got a little attachment rail, and I just destroyed a little Magpul AFG, put it on here, kind of give it that Chris Vector look. I know a lot of people do custom angled foregrips on the Chris Vectors, and I just took a little solid to it. I don't need it to look pretty, I just need it to work. The bolt block in here, you might call them bolt carrier groups, but this doesn't necessarily carry a bolt. It's just a big block, and it happens to have an extractor and ejector on it. So that's one solid piece of steel. It's extremely easy to clean and maintain. There's no rollers to try and clean the gunk out of. And while we're on the topic of cleaning, I'll go ahead and say that the Chris Vector was probably the biggest pain in my ass to clean. I mean, geez, there's so many little crevices in there, and the carbon fouling and all that stuff just builds up in these little tiny places that are extremely hard to get to. And coming from a guy who enjoys cleaning guns, I dreaded cleaning that thing. Lastly, and honestly, the biggest deciding factor in me dropping the MP5 to get the APC9, the empty magazine bolt hold open feature. This is a huge must-have feature for all my weapons. And I've seen people that are extremely fast and proficient with mag changes, with the MP5 cocking lever, but I mean, you can't argue that that your speed with pulling that lever back and lifting lifting the little lever up to lock it into place, loading your mag, and then slamming it back down, you know, like, you know, you can't argue that that is faster than hitting this little button. It's impossible, all right? So that was the biggest reason that I decided to take this or give this a shot over the MP5. And honestly, I was a little hesitant because I hadn't used one before, but it seemed like something that I was just really gonna like. And I won't go back. So sooner or later, I might get another MP5 just to have, because, you know, well, let me back up a little bit. The reason that I think it's crucial to have a bolt release is, or a bolt release function, button, something where it's just one click and done instead of having to do all this movement, is because in a deadly situation, a fraction of a second can literally mean life or death. And I choose life and functionality over iconic coolness and nostalgia, because when it comes down to it, that's what the MP5 brings to the table, is nostalgia. And it has a cool factor about it. Now, I'm sure people are still going to be arguing with me, saying that the MP5's way better, man. It's been around for 8 billion years. Oh, man. Well, here's a little fun fact for you. The Army just chose a new subgun. Guess who won the contract? Brugger Thomet, the APC9K, is replacing all of the MP5s for the Army. So there you go. If you don't believe me, well, that's in writing. So, gotta believe that. All right, folks. Well, that's it. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and let me know if there's anything else that you guys want to see or any questions that you have. Or maybe some questions about a couple things about this gun that maybe I didn't cover, because I'm not infallible. My memory is not infallible. I might forget something. So, all right, guys. Y'all take care.